St. Paul, The Fan.
Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 starring Tom Cruise is premiering July 12th. And The Fan has your shot at early screening passes. KFAN.com keyword contest for your chance to win. KFAN.com keyword contest.
Nordo in for PA. PA back on Monday. A little extended vacay for him, although it's more of a staycay. I'll text him later today. It's kind of like, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? Maybe where in the world is PA? Might be on his way to Denver. I'm not sure. But he was calling races at Canterbury on Monday. And that's where I brought the girls. 95 degrees. It felt like kids actually impressively made it about 3 hours before they freaked out and the meltdown started and we had to leave. So we didn't get to stay for the fireworks. But I know PA was in town on Monday. I don't know where he's at today, but he'll be back next Monday on this very station, on this very show, in this very chair. Are you a staycation or a vacation guy, Brett?
Mostly staycay. Usually the 4th is a vacay for me. Usually that's my yearly Atlanta trip. And this year it's still a couple weeks away. So I staycayed. I got to tell you, when everyone's gone up in the cabins, the town is yours. You can just do whatever you want. You can stay in. You can go out. No one's around. It's a ghost town. 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. So I'm a staycay guy personally, but that's also because I can just sit and do nothing for hours on end and not have a problem with it.
I'm with you on that from the standpoint. I like to travel. I like to go against the grain.
Okay.
So I'm not interested in being on 94, trying to hit that Monticello exit to jump over to 10. Now I'm heading up. Maybe I want to check out McDonald's Meats, and I got to actually take that. What is that? Clearwater, maybe? And then roll up to 371. Now I'm backed up all the way through Baxter. Maybe I pull off to the right at Von Hansen's, grab some stoked barbecue pellets, and I continue my way up to Nisswa. There's that sweet liquor store on the right side there. And then you get up to your cabin of choice. I love all of that, but I like doing it on weekends in which not everyone else would be doing the exact same thing. And so I have become a staycationer. But here's the problem with staycations. And I am ultimately there is a point to this.
Okay.
And it's in relation to Chad Abbott, who was just in here telling me about his little getaway down to the heartland, down to Nebraska. And a classic. Let's just say that it was a father nearly screwing up a seminal moment for his son. Innocent, and it turned out everything was fine. But he nearly ruined his kid's dreams. I'm going to put it out. I'm going to put it out there like that. But to the staycation part, if I go on a vacation, I don't have an itinerary. So I'm taking the kids down to Myrtle Beach next month. First time on a plane. Aw, for them. I'm going to have 8 or 10 ideas of what to do, but there's no time on that. If I want to sleep in or if we want to go walk the beach or do whatever, that's what we're going to do. We're going to chill. Vacation. I'm not interested about having to check my watch to make sure we're on time and on task when we're on vacation. But there's the rat race of the traveling and some of those portions that go along with it versus the staycation. You mentioned everyone's gone.
Yeah.
Roads are clear. Do whatever the hell you want. Fancy free. The problem that I realized, the staycation, I'm just lazy. Like I'm not productive during the staycation. So I have kids now, so we naturally got to hit up some spots. Yesterday we go over to a friend's place, and I mentioned Monday with Canterbury and the horse racing. Kids actually won me some money this time, so that's good. I got a future in gambling. I need them to help Dad build up that retirement account. I'm just not productive. So I've always, the idea of I'm going to stay home and I'm going to create a new hobby. I'm going to do this at the house. It's going to be amazing. When I take days off, I do nothing. Whatever my grand scheme was ends up me just droning out to some sort of streaming television show or movie. And I do nothing good at all during my staycation. So talking about this with a buddy, like staycation, vacation, there are those of you, if you're like me, just regular people, never-ending journey to the economic middle of the universe. Money plays into this as well, right? There are certain decisions you got to make and the timing upon which you make them. And maybe you're more of a deal hunter than others might be. And you want to find the best time and the best route to do some of those things. And you got to make those decisions. Maybe we won't go on this trip this year, et cetera. That's all good. I'm with you. And I do the same thing. But when I stay home, I'm just an absolute sack. I do nothing. And so I got to figure out how to make the most of my staycation. I could have brought the girls to the Great Wolf Lodge. Could have gone to Taste of Minnesota. Could have done any of those things. I was on the couch, hiding from the heat.
But isn't that the point, though?
Just wimpy and weak, doing nothing. Not getting smarter, not learning or advancing in my life at all. So, man, I'm out on the staycation.
Okay.
But for those of you, I actually got some text messages on the staycation vacation. If you got big opinions on it, how I can improve my staycation lifestyle, get creative with it, 64686 is the Bradshaw and Bryant text line. But that is an aside to a conversation that I was having with my superior. And I got your text messages on the Wolves. We're going to get back to that. Johnny K at 11 o'clock. A couple of good points raised, too. A lot of TJ Hawkinson have to re-sign him to the Vikings because you gave up a second-round pick for him. I disagree with that, and we can get into that throughout the course of this hour, final hour, some open time as well. The outside shooting. I'm so glad that Steve in Florida mentioned this, because when you look at the Wolves and how they were constructed, and you made that deal for Rudy Gobert, it was under the idea that you were going to get Jalen Noel, you were going to get production not only off the bench, but in your lineup in the three-point shooting game. You look statistically, he only played 29 games. Cat ended up shooting less than an extra 3 per game, so the dream that Gobert would maybe free Cat up to shoot more threes, it didn't necessarily come to fruition. By the way, he only shot like 36% from 3 last year. That was nearly a 5% drop from the year before. So there are all sorts of things there with the Wolves and the Vikings via the text line that are coming in here. So we can get to all of those things. Do need to pause. But when we come back, a dad nearly ruins his son's dreams. And I have to bring it up. It's Nordo in for PA. Brett Blakemore here with
The Fan.
Find the Mall of America Street Team at any of our station events all summer long and ask us about the MOA mystery cards when you see us. KFAN.com keyword events to find out where we'll be this week.
Stop me up and watch me go. I'll be running circles around you sooner than you know. A little love center and I'm out of June. Just kicking this cat along the avenue. But I'm alright. It's easy once you know how it's done. You can't stop now, it's already begun. You feel it running
Oh, my goodness.
and you jerk it out.
Chad Abbott, program director. I need to preface this by, I'm not a foremost expert in barbecuing or smoking meat. I'm not an all-stars. There are still things I need to do. Excited for this massive, it's either 20 or 22 pound brisket that I'm going to make next weekend. Excited for it. I love it. Sitting in the driveway, and I have this, I got a couple of different grills. I got this Traeger grill. A lot of people have Traegers, the pellet fed bit. But then my buddy down in Mankato, how the barbecue industry connected us. I didn't know he was doing this. Is he makes what are called offset smokers. And so thanks to my buddy Paul down in Mankato. But these, it's a wood fire. That's all it is. You make the fire, and you got to keep it going. Smoking meat in your driveway, having a beverage if you're so inclined. Living in suburbia, walkers coming by. What's it? What do you got going on? Oh, you're stinking up the neighborhood with deliciousness. Oh, yeah, it's just no big deal. A couple of racks of beef ribs. Yeah, come on over. Check it out. Take a picture. So it's a lot of fun. But I'm not an expert by any means. And really, in the end, you are your own expert. You know your taste buds. So there are right ways you can live your life on freaking YouTube with 1,000 different methods. But when it comes to barbecue, you can do it however the hell you want, as long as it tastes good to you. That's the key. You're the chef. So Abbott, his son, they do not do staycations. They're vacationers. And they head down to see family in Nebraska. And his son, 13 or 14 years old, he wants to feed the family. I think there were 10 or 12 of them down there. So I go over to Northern Fire. I got my little shopping list. I'm like, we're going to knock this thing out of the park for this kid. He is going to truly be a king in the family for a day, if not the entire holiday. So, in my opinion, again, not as the foremost expert, I would say that the first time you're going to smoke a giant slab of meat, however you shall choose to do it, I think probably the most foolproof, because again, taste is subjective. The most foolproof slab of meat is a pork butt. Get this giant pork shoulder, bone in, and it's durable. You're going to get it to 205, and it's either the bone's going to fall out. It's so juicy. It's so incredibly perfect, and you're just going to shred that thing, and it's going to be the perfect pulled pork. If it's a little bit drier, you might have to slice it up a little bit. Some would say you ruined it, but if it tastes good to you, you love it. You just can't mess it up. And in the end, it's freaking pork. Okay, it's awesome. It's going to kick ass no matter what. I'm going for bone. When you unwrap this thing, and this bone just falls out of it because there's so much moisture in there. I mean, there's just like getting married and having kids and stuff. Those are important moments in your life, but perfecting a smoked meat, real close. So Abbott's like, hey, kid wants to hit a home run with this. So get the grocery list. Got the pork butt. I think it was a 10 or 11 pounder. And the seasoning. Now we need an injector. We're going to inject the thing. Get a little bottle of this injection mix. We need the injector itself. And he tells me, well, they have a wood-burning smoker down there in Nebraska. So that's what we're going to use. So I get him a couple of ties of it was either cherry or apple wood. Get him the whole thing. Barbecue sauce. I'm a big Blues Hog guy myself. That Champions blend. Can't go wrong with it. Should be in everyone's refrigerator. I don't know who makes them or where they're from, but it's pretty good. And I get him all this stuff. I give it to Chad. And the first thing on the issue of the big sweat was I gave it to him on Friday. Initially, I thought he was going to make it on Monday, the 3rd. He tells me, which is why I got the frozen one. I would have gotten him a fresh one. He tells me they're cooking it on Saturday. No! And he's got to drive down there. Well, when the hell are you going to thaw this thing out? So that's communication error part 1. They ultimately figure it out. But I wrote him 2 pages of notes. We're starting our fire. I'm a charcoal chimney guy. Get the coals hot, throw it in the burn box. Then I put the first log on. We get that thing going. Log. Let's re-up the charcoal. Log. finish in the oven. Wrap the thing. We got some butter. We got some apple juice in the mix. We have a little bit more seasoning. You guys out there, you get all this. But I wrote this down. This is 2 pages of notes. And I'm writing it to his kid. I'm like a coach. I'm like, all right, here's the deal. With this wood-burning smoker, your temp's going to jump from 225 to 300 in a moment. Don't freak out. It's the temp of the meat. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, Chad is not inspiring me with confidence here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get him some temp probes. I lended my personal equipment to him. And I'm feeling, I'm as excited about this Friday night, thinking about it. I'm so excited for Abbott's kid to be baptized into the world of smoking meat. It's fun. It's so simple. It's so much. It's a hobby. It's a never ending. It's, in some ways it's kind of like golf because you can have the best day of your life, but then you can always be better too. And it's just a blast. Saturday morning. Abbott can't figure out the temp probes. Okay, this is not heart surgery, people. This is not something that requires multiple years of education. And frankly, a 2 or 3, if I can change the pulleys and the belts on my dryer with a YouTube video, you can operate some probes, okay? You stick the freaking thing in there, you turn it on, it gives you a number. The only thing you can't do is put the probe directly on the bone. Never do that. Then you're off the entire time. So he's got this thing stuck like a pin cushion. And then he's also got another ThermaPen that I have. But his kid, again, I haven't referenced the kid yet because the kid hasn't done anything wrong. Where Abbott has gone wrong, it is not a wood-burning smoker. He did not need those 2 ties of wood. It is a propane smoker. It is a barrel with the propane tank sitting next to it. I don't know how long. Well, I can tell you this. It looks like it was manufactured sometime like with recycled materials from World War II. This was not the newest product that I've ever seen.
It came over on the Mayflower.
Possible. So he's not only told me the wrong day that the kid's going to smoke it, so now they're on the sweat to thaw that thing out, which is a pain in the ass. Secondly, it's not a wood-burning smoker, it's a propane smoker. So there are various things in my 2 pages of notes. I wrote them a novella so that the kid would ace it. And now I've been lied to twice. So he gets it on there, and there's that moment. Okay, seasoned. And he showed me pictures of it. The kid kicked ass. Hell yes. Perfect injection. Used most of the bottle. Looked perfect. The seasoning, done to perfection. Everything's good. So again, Abbott doesn't know how to use probes. So I keep getting text messages. It's anxiety. It's having me, and I'm on vacation at the time, on this staycation. I got kids running around with their heads cut off, and I'm taking phone calls from my boss asking me how these probes work. And they're showing him completely different temperatures. He's offering me, and you could feel this, Brett, that the same type of anxiety that you may have felt when he's asking you about a liner, or he's asking you about XYZ, and he's just up in your business. That's me on vacation. It's his kid doing the cook, and he can't figure this stuff out. So because it is not a wood-burning smoker, it doesn't require as much on-ball attention all the time. He doesn't have to stoke the fire. It sets a temp. Let's just kind of keep it consistent. Go about our business. Hovering somewhere between 250 and 275 if you can do it. Other trouble with the propane, he's getting a tenth of the smoke. Now to combat that, maybe some foil and use a couple of those wood blocks to see if we could get some of that fire and that smoke inside the propane smoker. So the kid, it's in the initial long form cook phase. He just wants to be a kid for like a half hour. hey, I gotta go into town with Ma. We're gonna go do something. I don't know, get some lunch, whatever. It's just around noon, 1 o'clock. It's been on there for 3 hours or so. And he's gonna go hang out for a little bit. And all Dad has to do is just watch it. That's all he's got to do. He's got to sit there. Got the dogs out there. One of the pictures he sent had like a tennis ball in the frame. So I said, just play fetch with the dog. Do whatever you can. You almost can't screw it up. Well, when he put the meat on and was investigating, again, this Depression era smoker that he was trying to use, he took the drip pan out. And a pork butt, as many of you would know, if you put it fat cap down, that kind of helps you. It protects the meat from the fire, but it is not opposed to rendering a bit. There will be drippage. So if you have a Traeger, you got those drip liners. I usually put foil pans inside the offset smoker. Well, Abbott removed the drip pan, which is a problem over the direct source of gas-fed fire that was inside the smoker. So I'm getting text messages wondering what the hell's going on, and it's like everything's going fine, and, it's getting a little smoky. We opened it up around the time that paint started peeling off the side of the smoker. Abbott started his kid's pork butt on fire. He estimates that this durable yet not completely infallible piece of meat that they would eventually eat, he estimates that it was directly on fire anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes. And that the temperature was paint's peeling off the smoker, which means we are north of 500 or 600 degrees, at least with the direct flame. His kid left for a half hour, and Abbott started. This kid's all he's been talking about for multiple weeks. Dad, this is what I want to do. I want to feed the family. I want to be the belle of the ball for the weekend. And there's nothing better than when you roll in from the grill or the smoker with that cookie sheet of brats and dogs and burgers, whether it's unbelievably reverse-seared steaks, it's ribs, beef ribs, brisket, or a big old pork butt that you pull out and you're ready to shred it. There is nothing better than everyone gathering around as they're about to feast, because these cooks take so damn long. Everyone's basically starving by the time. So frankly, who knows how good it really tastes, because you're begging for it at that point anyway. That's part of the ruse of cooking. Keep them hungry. And they'll eat anything. That's all he wanted to do. Feel that feeling. Grandpa and grandma and aunt and uncle and cousins, look what I did. And enjoy the fruits of his labor. Chad Abbott started the thing on fire. He started it on fire. And he's scrambling. There's heavy breathing on the other end of the phone. There are expletives galore. I can't believe what's going on down here. Something's wrong. It just started on fire. So he calms it down, fixes it. We're back in the game. Then he's sweating the pin cushion probe thing. Total mistake on his part, but maybe on my part as well for not better explaining it. We finally figure out the temperature. And gets it wrapped. Everything's good. Once again, I'm just getting, I don't know if it's heating up correctly. I don't know how the kid was feeling, but the dad was worried. As any dad, I suppose, should be. Especially after he sets his child's meat on fire when he's just trying to smoke a pork butt and feed the family. After he nearly screws the whole thing up, paint peeling off the smoker, he's, I guess, reasonably anxious about the whole thing. So I get the picture, and it's done. Regardless of all that, he nailed it. again, the key is the temp of the meat. I know this, it's kind of counterintuitive some ways because, and Traeger and Yoder, anytime you know, or if you're just preheating the oven to make a pizza, you're programmed, it's 425, it's 400.
And now we're talking about language.
All of those things.
Yes.
So you're so programmed in on the temp of the cook. Really, the absolute A topic in the end is the temp of the meat. Whether you can smoke a brisket and it can be amazing if you take 18 hours on it, you can smoke a brisket and make it taste just as good in 6.5 or 7 hours. Again, temp of the meat and how you do everything from the seasoning part of it and beyond to make that thing the beautiful finished product that it is. So all that anxiety, starting the thing on fire, nearly ruining his child's dreams. Oh, just perfect moment. I wish I could have recorded the conversation. Hey, Abbott, right after the fire. Hey, why don't you see how much, that fat cap under there has got to help a little bit. So let's see. And he tries to lift. He's like, I think it's stuck to the grate. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's just beautiful. He lost his mind. He lost his mind. But it ended up perfect. So regardless of what father inadvertently tried to sabotage, son comes out. He's the hero. Delicious pulled pork. Just again, king for a day. Absolutely nailed it. So I'm asking him all these questions and, your kid's officially a chef and everything. I just see him in the hallway and I asked him if I could tell this story. He's like, yeah, it's fine, whatever. So I said, you got I lended you the probes, and they're not super expensive, but they're not cheap either. And he's like, yeah, I got them for you, but we got a problem. He melted the probes. No! I lended him some equipment to make his life easier. He nearly starts like his property on fire or causes some minor explosion, some real fireworks. He melts my probes. So he nearly ruins his son's first inaugural cook, maiden voyage. Almost sunk like the Titanic did. And somehow, lifeboats come to the rescue, compartments drained, they're able to stay afloat with this cook. And he ruined my temp probes. So now I have a probe box and a temperature read and no probes. So I can't even cook my brisket now. I have to go get new probes and new equipment. And that's my fearless leader, Chad Abbott. I absolutely, again, this time of year, I'm glad I saw him in the hallway. I love cooking, love barbecuing. All jokes aside, I've never used one of those older propane smokers in the first place, so it could have been unavoidable. Feels like that drip pan kind of matters. So we're going to have to, if there was a black box on that smoker and we can go back and figure out exactly where things went wrong, I feel like that drip pan was kind of a thing that may have needed to be in there at the time of a near catastrophic fire. But the A topic is the temperature of the meat is what matters. And the kid ended up hitting a freaking home run. He took that foil off, the bones falling out, and it was the most tender, delicious pork you're ever going to have in your life. And this kid did it and nailed it on his very first try. Cooking's a blast. Always learning, making mistakes, nearly starting fires. Let's minimize that part of it. Let's be safe. Let's not do what Abbott did. But let's have a blast. Oh, that's a bad word to use while doing it. How about that? So that got me off track. Text messages 64686. Again, jumping back into the Wolves. And I assume around the corner with news that we will revisit the Anthony Edwards conversation.
We may.
Haven't talked about the Twins much today, to be honest with you. And I don't know. I mean, final hour, I suppose we can get into it. They've won 4 out of 5, scored a bunch of runs against the Royals. What does that mean in the vein of how this team looks? Just 4 games left, I believe, including today, into the All-Star break. But it's just, Bombas 2019, 60-game bid where Kenta Maeda was a Cy Young candidate. I just think with this particular team, it's truly amazing with Royce Lewis and Carlos Correa, of course, really being the A topic, at least from a salary standpoint. And Buxton. Think about the names and then what they were able to do with the pitching. How little buzz there is around a division-leading team. There's no buzz. It's just the frustration and the fatalism has crept in again. What is exciting right now about that team? I keep hearing about Wallner hitting home runs in AAA. Larnach got loose, I think, yesterday. And in terms of the pro club, just the incredible lack of faith that this offense. I mean, if we play the Royals, I need to know how many more games we got against Kansas City because that's going to work well for us. But other than that, lack of buzz around a division-leading team, the dog days of summer for the boys of summer. But they get to finish it out today against the Royals, and then they take a day off, weekend series against Baltimore, and then they chill for the All-Star break and try to find their bats. So hopefully they found their bats the last couple against Kansas City and keep that rolling through the pause. But we'll jump into Ant, maybe some Twins, your text messages, Vikings and Wolves-centric during the final hour as well. John Krasinski, as I mentioned, of The Athletic. I think he's on his way back, not from a staycation, but from a vacation. So we'll chat with him about the Howl at 11 and continue on. Brett Blakemore produces. It's Nordo and
KFAN, The Fan.
Welcome back. News to Nord brought to you by The Casino at Canterbury Park, CanterburyPark.com. Live racing and play. Great weekend of it during the 4th of July holiday. Canterbury always does a great job. Tip for the future, should have brought a camping chair. Brilliant. A lot of people smarter than I am, more well prepared. But CanterburyPark.com, learn about table games all year round, blackjack, poker, and all of that. 3-card poker. You got all kinds of stuff out there. CanterburyPark.com, the casino at Canterbury. What do you got, Brett?
Number 1.
Well, you guessed it. The Twins, they are playing, the fan has learned, and they beat the bad Royals again yesterday at Target Field. By the way, you asked last segment, how many more games do you have against the Royals after this series? The answer, 3.
Oh, that's a problem.
Not a lot of help.
That's not good.
In the old pipeline. Now, the offense sprung for 9 runs behind 4 RBIs from Max Kepler. Kenta Maeda collects the win. The Twins are now 1 game over 500, 44-43, a game ahead of Cleveland for first place. Pablo Lopez goes for the Twins again today against Kansas City. The other thing I wanted to mention about the Twins is the All-Star game roster has been announced. I don't think they were announced when we were last on, the two of us, or at least you. Only All-Star for your Minnesota Twins, Sonny Gray.
Yeah, and that makes complete sense. He's been... I love Sonny Gray. I keep bringing this up because this is a guy that I thought in the offseason was making so many excuses. A year ago, you had some lockout and some time away during the spring training into 2022, and he's talking about, well, that screwed me up. Couldn't really find my way for the first month and a half of the season, etc. Then he's talking about trying to go longer. And that Twin starters, we want to eat more innings. And for the most part, over the first half of the season here, he's been absolutely dead on. And he has followed that up with a full off-season training program, full spring training, normalcy, routine, and he has kicked ass. I'm trying to scramble as I speak to find where he sits in the ERA column. He gave up a couple. So he's still 4th in the major leagues with the 2.5 ERA. He's just been terrific. And that's part of a staff where at one point the Twins were leading the league in quality starts for the starting staff, innings pitched for the starting staff. They still have the best earned run average in all of Major League Baseball. They're 2nd in total strikeouts, and they still lead, and they do still lead in terms of quality starts. Now, We've seen a lot of 5 and goodbye type of situations with the starting staff, and somebody keeps bringing it up, and I need to get to the bottom of this. That there have been moments where I've complained where I'm like, I wish Sonny would have went an extra inning. He left with 79 pitches, or he was out, 1 run, 3 hits, and 86 pitches. Why not give him another shot? And a couple of people have pointed out to me they think that he's asking to leave, that he has actually been the one to draw the attention of Rocco and say, I just don't have it anymore. Probably should move on from me for the remainder of the evening and let the bullpen handle their business. I don't know if that's accurate. I just know that there have been, again, decision-making moments within games where we're scratching our heads. And so at least a couple of people it was the pitcher calling the shots in those particular occasions. I don't know. The pitching is the story of this team, so therefore it should be the only positive thing that's highlighted as All-Star Week approaches. There's nothing, in my opinion, of merit to really get excited about as it pertains to the Twins offense. So good for Sonny, though. He's been fantastic this season, and that is, again, such a lack of buzz with a division-leading team in the Minnesota Twins. The combination of worst division probably in baseball, and then just this absolute destitute, awful offense that we have to watch, except when we play the Royals. And suddenly Max Kepler's hitting home runs and RBI singles and all of that. I think Buxton had a home run the last day or two as well. And so we only get 3 more of these against the Royals. We better make the most of them. Pablo Lopez tonight.
Number 2.
Well, the Wolves locked up their star, Anthony Edwards, 5-year extension worth up to $260 million. He's here to stay. Another star player is locked up. We're waiting on extensions for Kirill and JJ. Your move next, Vikings and Wild. But the Wolves got their guy, Anthony Edwards, 5 years, $260. Your thoughts?
My thoughts on her, I don't know. Hold on. Everyone embrace themselves. I think they made a good decision. Wow.
Above average at that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make all of you have to pull over to the side of the road. I didn't cancel your afternoon appointments with that right there. Well, they had to do it. He can get up to 260 with all NBA. So now it's take this step. And as we'll discuss with Johnny Krasinski, this team, it feels like the sea change here is that we are going to build around Ant. And speaking about it in the open, kind of looking at things, and now really since that run they made in 04, it was KG for a long time. And then eventually, the Al Jefferson experiment is a failure, but let's build around Kevin Love. And we got Ricky Rubio. And yes, we all know who they drafted instead of Steph Curry in that particular draft. 2 shots. And although Steph Curry would not be, in my opinion, with this organization over the course of time, Steph Curry would not be the Steph Curry that we know today if he had been drafted by the Wolves. I truly believe that. And not to just dagger the franchise, but and the star players have certainly the right, specifically in this kind of league and the way it's set up, a star-laden league, a star-first and individual-first league like the NBA is proving to be in many cases. Steph Curry, but let's get over that. But just look at all the different eras that this team has gone through since KG left, and they have tried and failed many times. Now the newest incarnation of that, it feels like, and Cat's still here. Cat still has a chance. If he's going to be on this team and they're going to quote-unquote run it back, well, Cat has an opportunity to be a major part of that. And he can be offensively. This team certainly will be better, I believe, in some respects, just by him being back on the court. And then we can argue about the lack of cohesion or maybe evolving cohesion that he has with Rudy Gobert. But him being back is a good thing. And but this is straight from the horse's mouth. Tim Connolly has said it. We're focused on Anthony and what we need to do around Anthony to make this a thing. The relationship he has with his coach is solid, and that's good for Finch too in terms of how long he's going to be here and how that bodes for the coach. But Anthony's the guy, and so with that, and we'll talk with Johnny about it at 11. I've seen some things in the text messages pop up on this too. the emotional maturity. Some things do have to get better. He's been getting better along the way. So the faith in that culminating and continuing down that road, I think is faith that you need to have, but I think it's faith based in real results that we've seen from his playoff performances, and the standpoint that he does not wilt under pressure. He will shoot you out of games, but he's always going to shoot. He's not afraid of the moments. I think he's shined more than wilted in moments, and that's all while watching a team in 2 playoff series find ways to lead games and lose them, really just kind of blown out of the gym. A gentleman's sweep, of course, with the Nuggets this year. But no, I'm excited for Anthony to grow. But this is, as Johnny put it, and we'll talk next segment, history is not on his side in terms of changing this franchise around. So that is the job and the task of Tim Connolly to find the routes to do that.
Number 3.
Another story that broke since we've been gone. The Wild made a trade. How about that? The fan has learned the Wild are a little bit tight on money, tight on the financials, but still found a way to make a trade. Pat Maroon, 3-time back-to-back-to-back Stanley Cup champion, coming to Minnesota. The Lightning also traded a prospect whose name I am not brave enough to pronounce yet. They're retaining a $1 million salary for Pat Maroon, and the Lightning are retaining 20% of it. We gave a 7th-round pick in 2024 for him. Pat Maroon to the Wild. Your thoughts, Nordo?
Yeah, I think it's cool. I mean, he was back-to-back-to-back Stanley Cup champion. That was 2 years ago now, right? 2 full seasons have passed.
2 with the Lightning and 1 with the
St. Louis Blues.
No, 1 with, or was it the Blues? Nah,
I think it was the Blues in 2019.
Yeah, correct.
But let me handle the elite.
Yeah, you go ahead and you figure that out.
I'll just around here.
I'll read what I wrote and that's it.
I'm the resident KFAN hockey historian around here, so I'll tell you this. I believe it was the Blues in 2019 and a couple with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, I think it's cool, and I'm not going to pretend to know how this makes things better, what this is. Now, by all accounts, Pat Maroon, they love him. They're happy to have him. I think it's super cool. But these are, you mentioned tight on the purse strings. They are. So these are the types of moves that they have to make to put this whole thing together. Maybe we can get in this too, because we're kind of out of time. I want to get to Johnny K. But free agency thus far, I think Matt Dumba is still out on the market.
Believe so.
And I don't know if that should surprise me or not. It kind of does. So the offense hasn't worked out necessarily in his career over the last 5 or so for Dumba. And there are inadequacies. But he's a guy you'd love to have on your team. And if we could afford him, maybe not at the current price tag that he was just getting paid on this contract, but we'd want Dumba to stay on this team. So there are plenty other options for him, but he's still out there. So is it kind of like the conversation we were having about Dalvin, where it's like, I want this kind of money. There's no rush, so we're just going to chill until the right opportunity comes along. I love Matt Dumba. His career has not reached the trajectory maybe that some had hoped. No doubt about that. And again, he is an imperfect player. But I love him. I'm going to miss having him on this team, man. But he's still a free agent. I saw our guy Jason Zucker just signed with the Coyotes, playing at Friends and Family Night Arena on the campus of Arizona State. So, but good for him after some injury-plagued moments over the last 3-4 years that he's had to deal with and endure in Pittsburgh. So happy for Zucker. I'm going to be happy for Dumba as he finds a new home. I just don't know why he doesn't have a new home yet, but we'll figure that out. But yeah, and dog days of summer for the Twins, dog days of summer for Bill Guerin the next 2 off seasons as he navigates the buyout money and all of these things while, kind of Quasi-like, still trying to compete, not only in the division, but in the Western Conference. So that's News to Nord, brought to you by the casino at Canterbury Park, canterburypark.com for all details there. Checking in with Johnny Krasinski of The Athletic. He wrote a piece about the extension for Anthony Edwards, and we're going to chat about the Howl. When we return, start of the final hour, 9 to noon on the Fan.